how consciousness affects matter in our world. Well, consciousness is the ground of all being, and there are a number of definitions of consciousness. The one that I would make for the purposes of just defining it in terms of Western science or dualism is that consciousness is our intention to create something new in the universe. To the degree to which the universe reciprocates or aligns with that intention is the degree to which consciousness can be affected. So, for example, several recent scientific experiments show beyond any reasonable doubt that human intention, especially the intention of people that are very conscious and are aligned with the universe, say, for example, meditators, that intention can actually literally change the material properties of the universe. That just our intentionality can literally heal ourselves or heal the properties of water or even produce energy. There is so much that can be done through intention. And right now we need to come together combined in positive intention to change the world. I was on the faculty of in the physics department at Princeton University in 1979, and I was what you would call a typical mainstream scientist. I was an astronomer. I did a lot of work on planetary atmospheres, planetary surfaces, and while I was at Princeton, I went to a workshop and I had a remote viewing experience. I was able to tune into a person psychically and have him very accurately described. This was something that I hadn't realized before then was possible. And so my paradigm was interrupted. It was shattered by an experience I had, which I later was able to substantiate many times over, not only through experience, but through scientific experiments using scientific methods. So 1979 was when I started to open up to what we would call the new sciences, or the sciences of consciousness. Zero point is is a theory in physics which suggests that all of the energy in the universe is basically available at any point in time and space. And this enormous potential energy field still exists even at temperatures of absolute zero, in apparent violation of the laws of thermodynamics, which are not really laws, they're only theories too. And the zero-point field has been proven to exist through quantum theory and through actual experimentation. And it's a concept that basically says that every point in time and space has a potential energy and information field that we can tap into, either through our consciousness or through building an electromagnetic device. Now, this has been proven time and time again that there is this field, and it also could solve the energy crisis of the planet. In other words, you could build an electromagnetic device that taps into this field and produces a lot of free electricity. But what can we do about the energy situation? Well, about 25 years ago, I started traveling the world and visiting some of the brightest energy researchers, new energy researchers, and convinced me that there are many, many new energy concepts, breakthrough clean energy concepts, that could lead to an extraordinary revolution in the way in which we use energy. So since that time, I've written a number of books, the most recent being The Energy Solution Revolution, and I've been posting a lot of essays on my website that describe in more detail what these energy sources are. The so-called zero-point energy, sometimes it's called vacuum energy, This involves this huge potential energy field in the vacuum of space. Every point in time and space is seething with a huge potential energy field that we haven't recognized until relatively recently in the Western world. In the Eastern tradition, whether it's the Vedas or the Chinese or Japanese cultures, have known all along that we are in this kind of sea of energy. It's sometimes called the ether, the etheric energy, which is really basically a potential energy and information field that that is beyond time and space. It's beyond the materialistic world such as we know it. And this potential energy field can be tapped, and it can be tapped electromagnetically, which means you can build a device like a wheel with magnets that you spin up, and then it produces electricity for practical use, for appliances, for lights, for computers, and so forth. It's a much cleaner source of energy, or so it appears, than any of the alternatives that we've been normally considering. So that would be a source of electricity directly. You wouldn't need remote power plants, nuclear power plants. You wouldn't need fossil fuel power plants. You wouldn't need hydro power plants. You can go straight to this source of energy, these electromagnetic devices. So that's one source that's could be very practical in the very near future if we, as a society, support the research and development, very important, crucial element here, support the research and development of these technologies. Then it could go the way of the information age we're in now. We can have not only Skype chats across the ocean, but we can have energy that can be brought in from the environment using a resonating solid-state device. So that's the so-called zero-point energy. Cold fusion is another very interesting concept. It was discovered in 1989 by two University of Utah chemists, electrochemists. Their names are Martin Fleischmann and Stanley Pons. And they discovered rather accidentally that if you put a palladium cathode into a heavy water solution, that nuclear reactions can occur on the cathode to produce helium and the release of some thermal energy in a non-radioactive way. This discovery led then to many replications and many alternative technologies, which seem to indicate that you can generate quite a bit of heat in a safe environment with using these techniques. So that's yet another very promising series of technologies based on the principles of cold fusion or room temperature chemically assisted nuclear reactions. Another one involves hydrogen and water. That is special forms of the hydrogen atom or special forms of the water molecule can be manipulated through various chemical or catalytic reactions to be able to separate the hydrogen in such a way that you get more energy out of the hydrogen that's separated than you can using traditional means. The planet deserves this kind of approach to our energy use, and it hasn't happened yet. This requires a lot of intelligent planning, a lot of intelligent research and thinking, which most people in power totally ignore. They just as soon go straight for the burning oil or coal or natural gas or burning uranium, all of which is a very polluting way to approach energy generation. Well, right now, 93% of the energy we use worldwide comes from uranium or the fossil fuels or the hydrocarbons, and that is a devastating. I'd like to end on an optimistic note, which is that in principle we can solve our most heartfelt problems here on Earth, and we can really have a peaceful, just, and sustainable world. We need to look at each system, whether it's our energy systems or our water systems. That's another big sector, another big area that's now being very threatened by horrible pollution. We have to look at our money systems, our whole financial infrastructure. We have to look at the machinery for war. We have to look at all of these sectors and ask ourselves the question, how can we do this differently? The only way this can be implemented is for the people, the grassroots, to stand up to power. People need to stand up and say, enough, we don't want this anymore. We want to do it this way, not that way. So it's really up to your listeners, to all the people in the world, to recognize what's possible and to insist that we move forward